Good morning. Mere still foggy from sharing what's to come where we are. I hope you'll choose to come along and learn today what my 15-year-old self has to say. She taught me so much about blind fellowship. It is true we cannot afford to keep on the vibe that they would have us be on if we were the ones who blindly trusted that the ones who've been elected have our best interest at heart when clearly they don't. It is true. I hope you will be willing to hear as the mirror clears. You and I are here for so much more than we've been told. And this morning there is a rally for ending the lockdowns, and I will go, not because they're effective, but you know that all that we have at the end is who we know. So please understand that as the mirror clears, that's when I will share a lesson that this is relevant to, because this is actually the lesson that I learned because I blindly trusted someone who told me good information. So I have scars to prove it. I got my body altered when I was only 15 because I told someone I had some insecurities about how much I sweat because I didn't understand the machine that I am. And so I trusted someone who was also insecure, and because they gave me bad advice, I trusted blindly. I didn't know enough to say, no, I will do my own research, because I figured if the doctors knew how bad it was for you, they would have stopped me. But free will is a thing that we're all given, and right now it's being exercised in a way that you are being called to understand is not for our best interest, even though we might think it is. We are only being told half a story. Let's shut the door, because right now what I have to say are lessons from my 15-year-old self as I got myself ready to go to a rally. Not because it's effective, but because we gotta know who else is on the field with us. It's true, I'm covering the imperfections of the truth because it's more pleasing for others. And sometimes we feel better when we're masked and we think that's the way it's supposed to be. But I got something to tell you, it is not true. Oh, my friends, I wanted to let you know when I was 15 I had my sweat glands removed, and now I have scars, I still sweat, and I tell you all of that because if I had known the truth I would never have done it. And I trusted someone who was insecure to tell me the truth, but they couldn't because they could only see what they wanted to see, which was the fast solution that is being sold on mass media. And we're being told that things are going to be okay when we're all injected. It's not true, my friends, please understand that these are my reminder to you that you are beautiful just the way you are. It is true, please understand it's time to take what we thought made us better because we altered ourselves, and then no, it's time we come together. The mirrors were foggy now, they're no longer, and it is true. I say to you that I would hope that you will understand that my 15-year-old self would never do this again if I had known the truth about what scars it would leave, and it would not change the fact I sweat because my body's an amazing machine, and so is yours. And so I say it's time for us to understand, just because we are being told a certain thing, it's not true, and we must unite. That's why today in Simcoe we will gather shortly. I'm getting myself ready, and then I say to you, it's time for us to understand. We are stronger when we stand together, not because we rally and resist and protest, but because we go and find the warriors on the field, just like the reason you maybe showed up here. And so I say to you, it's true. Maybe this is the way that we are supposed to view each other, through a mirror. Please know you and I are that for each other. You are my mirror and I am yours. I hope you like what you can see, and then you understand. Cutting something out is not the answer if it's part of the natural machine. And it is true that if you inject yourself with gene therapy, you too will no longer be able to regulate your body the way you can. Currently there are a lot of things being held back from us, and we must trust that we know the truth. We can feel it. There is a vibrational resonance. Please understand that just because the puppets on the stage that we have paid to be there as taxpayers, we cannot trust them because they've sold their souls to be the puppets who receive a paycheck to do what we elected to them to do. And they have forgot that their job does not protect them. Their souls are on the line, and so of ours. That's why we must find others who are willing to take a stand and say we must command these lands of our own selves as the sovereign ones who've come here to do what we must to protect ourselves as the human, the ones with an extra E, because we include all skin tones and colors. Whatever you wanna think of, the melatonin covering the case is the lands of me and you. That's our skin, the humanity that we share. It's true, please know you are far more powerful than you ever thought. And so I say it's not time to protest and rally against the things we don't want, because that only feeds what we wanted before and still do. But instead we must redirect our attention onto what we want instead, which is our freedom. And so we must call them freedom rallies. Freedom pods is what we gotta find amidst the craziness, the madness of those who have been indoctrinated to think things are the way the mainstream media tells us. But that's about the same as these, the scars that helped me understand you can't blindly trust the insecure, the ones that don't feel safe inside themselves. So please don't trust the ones who have sold their souls and don't understand or care. Maybe I don't know what's going on in their heads, but what I know is that many professional medicine people are actually walking away from the industry because they see what's actually going on and they will not comply any longer. And I lost my job as a cashier after 10 months in January because I will not wear a mask and say I am something other than I am. Because when I cut myself to pieces for the sake of insecurity, I learned when I was 15, 18 years ago, it's true that we cannot just do what we're told when we know it doesn't feel right and it hurts. It's not okay to just pretend it's okay and we'll get better. That's a lie and we know it if we see all the agendas. It is true. Please understand that you are the one who must take a stand for the lands that are you as a sovereign man, woman, who is here to represent. You are part of a sovereign province. Cantaria, Ontario, BC, Alberta, PI, and all of the provinces are each sovereign vessels, entities of their own, their corporations. Please understand this is a transactional culture we live in, which is the cult you rally with. And so I say I hope you will join me live in Simcoe today to go against the protests. We're not going against protests, we are simply saying we need to find the ones who understand this is wrong, and together we must demand personal accountability of the ones who are currently selling us out the way. The one who advised my 15-year-old self to get the surgery to make me not sweat, not realizing my body just didn't understand how to use all of the juices inside of me just yet, because I hadn't learned how to make the most of the body that's me. So I hope you will choose to better inform yourself and not change the lands based on an insecurity that makes you feel safely separate from the ones that would be able to stand and protect and defend you when you feel too weak to do it for yourself. So please do understand, if you let us go down first, then when they come for you, there will be no one left. That's the way they said in the Nazi poem when they said at first they came for the socialists, but I was not one, so I did not say anything. And then they came and took the others, but I wasn't one of them either, so I didn't say anything. And when they came for my neighbor, I was concerned, but I didn't know them too well, so I didn't say anything there either. And then when they came for you, there was no one left to stand, and it's what they're relying on. Divide and conquer is a war strategy. Please understand this is a psyop, and we are being pit against one another to divide and conquer. The masked ones, the unmasked ones, the anti-vaxxers, the vaxxers, the ones that would be in separate boxes. Those cells are where we'll wind up if we don't stand up. They want our country, not just these lands, but the ones we stand on too. So we must be willing to do what's required. It's taking a stand, but at the end, none of us make it safely out of life alive. So we've got to band together. It is true that you and me must do what's required, and it is coming together. Please understand that when I got my body cut open and chunks of skin like that cut out and stitched back together, I got scars, and we are gonna have a lot of scars from all that we have let play out so far. And I say that we can prevent further damage if we band together. We stop looking at the certificate on the wall that was approved by an institution with an agenda that goes aligned with the Sustainability Act, Agenda 21. Did you know that is how the few want to save their resources at the expense of the many, but they frame it nice, and so then we think they're doing it for our best interest, but they are not, and we have to say no more. We will not be part of this Nazi plan. We choose to see the truth, not the one they paint for us. Please take a stand. Today we go to Simcoe for the rally, and it's a protest which I do not support specifically, because you don't fight fire with fire. You don't try to put out a fire with fire. You don't try to pour water on a drowning person. You don't do these things, but there are ones that are powerful that will be there that I am going to go collect. And I'm asking you to be willing to introduce Me to the ones that you know are leaders, that are doing something and are taking a stand, and we then need to command the floor. We must create a dance floor of our own, because right now it is a mock show, and there is a lot of shat being thrown at others to make it so they just think, she's an anti, but it's not the truth. That is just how they defame. It's part of the genocide techniques, literally. If you look it up, there are 10 stages of genocide, and creating labels on people that dehumanize them is a great way to make it say, well, that's just the Uyghurs that are millions locked in China that are being reprogrammed in a reschooling or retraining program where they are indoctrinated and made to believe a certain way. And the CCP or NBC, Trudeau, sold out. We all know. So what are we going to do other than just protest and get upset, which just feeds their grid system? We're going to band together, I hope. So if you know somebody that's doing something dope, not actually, but cool, something that is actually creating traction, that is getting people together, not because it's against something, but even if it is, there's just a re-education process that we must go through, understanding we cannot force something, but certainly we can stand for something. And when we know who we are, we can stand firm and tall because we have strength and confidence. It's a powerful, challenging message because it requires you to do something, and me too. And so I'm going to go do that, and I hope that this will inspire and encourage you to be willing to do you different too. I encourage you to understand there will be many who don't like you, just the way there are many who do not like me for doing what I am recommending others do too. And when beloved ones consider you a pathological liar with no emotional guilt for selling people absolute BS from their perspective, because they're indoctrinated and trained at a very high level to follow the man, the order, the command, well, when that order requires the execution of the ones that are blindly trusting you because you wear a coat or a uniform, the badge of respect that socially they are given because we give it to them, it does not make that one better than the one that didn't go through all of the education in order to get to the top of the ranks and then not be able to think for themselves. I had the option, and I've chose not to do that simply because I understood the system was already sold out, and the indoctrination program would mean that when you get to that position, then you've paid so much to get that education that you have too much to lose. Too much is on the line for you to actually be willing to give it up for the sake of a fine, for the sake of speaking the truth at the expense of going against the agenda. So I didn't go there, and I have went through a lot emotionally, because when you wake up to the truth and you stop believing in the system, what do you believe in? And what I found over the last year is when you don't trust the institution, you trust yourself. And when you actually train yourself to trust yourself, magic begins to happen. So I hope to see you at some point, whether it be today, which may not be effective at all. There will be a gathering of people, which in a lockdown situation ultimately make it so it's not a smart thing to do. It's risky, but we're called to call on the protection and the support of the angelic ones, and we have forgot how to call, and they will not interfere. It's our free will that allows us to choose how we're going to show up. And at the end of our lives, where we're going to stand and what we're going to say in reflection of all that came our way and what we did with it. So I hope that you'll be able to stand knowing that you did something, that you stood for something. I hope that you will be willing to reach out to ones who are doing something and connect us. Because as much as I may just be a farm girl from Vanessa that is in Norfolk County, the richest land in the country, not alone exclusively, but a very profitable space that is being overtaken by corporate interests if we'll allow it, or would be, as they bankrupt our farmers by imposing harsher restrictions on this particular area than others, because evidently we're more sold out than other areas, or somehow this is not being stopped because there is a trading of souls. And it is time for us to know we cannot do this any longer. So awesome to see you this morning. Thank you for tuning in. And yes, we must band together, unite movements. We have to drop the walls. If we put God in a box, that's when God becomes a dog. And when you back a dog into a corner, the dog bites. And right now, we are becoming the dogs being backed into corners because we have forgot that we are gods incarnate. God sparks, literally. Individuated expressions of the grand overall designer, here to experience itself after the Big Bang theory that broke itself into a million pieces, billions of pieces, in order for it to experience itself as us through our eyes, which is why we can no longer afford to be part of this Nazi plan. Please, wake up to the man's agenda. Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2050 now. Rockefeller Report 2010, snippets of the truth that are hidden in plain sight because that's the way they do it. If they tell us what they are doing and planning, and then we don't do anything and just laugh because it sounds too sinister and evil, and easier to say a conspiracy theorist came up with it than to say that the truth is the conspiracy that is being hidden, please understand. We have to become critical thinkers. We have to see with our own eyes instead of believe the Nazi plans of the ones that would put blindfolds on the ones that are being duped and their lives and souls are on the line. And ours will be too if we don't take a stand. So I hope that this encourages you to do what is required where you are and to unite with others so that we can drop these walls and make them the bridge that we walk together on energetically. 6 foot is where the heart fields start to merge. Get it? Social distancing is programming us to be afraid of social. If it was about physical distancing, they would have called it that. Everything is intentional. They are linguists. The ones that are executing this and would execute us by the injections that are are being thrust into people's arms, the swabs that are made with carcinogenic ingredients that go right next to the brain-blood barrier. Please, wake up. This is not in our best interest. This is part of the depopulation agenda. If you are uncertain and think I'm crazy, look up Georgian Guidestones in Atlanta. They're tablets that they outline the plan. Please. Understand, we have to stand up or we will fall. And if we don't know what we stand for, we will fall for anything. And right now it's happening at proportions that are greater than we ever thought. But that's when then we think, how did they not interfere when so many Jews were being killed and everyone else that stood up back in the last war? And then we go through what we've been through over the last year and we understand. So please do support the ones who are willing to take a stand even if you don't get it, even if it's going to cost you everything, because you have to understand it already is. All of it is to bankrupt the ones that have gotten so into materialism that by the time they introduce the universal income plan that requires vaccination, which is not vaccination, inoculation, there seems something sinister in that word, and if we actually looked deeper. Yes, darling, I will be coming. And so would love to connect with a fellow cashier who was refusing to be unmasked and thus lost her job too in January when the rules were changed because that's what corporations do. They get the ones that get paid the most to impose fearful orders on those who are confused and trying to comply and keep their jobs and keep the peace. And we Canadians are known to be so nice, which is why our land is going to be easy to take if we don't stand up faster. Because divide and conquer and then come clean in the rest, well, BC already has the CCP over there, guys. Trudeau is sold out. Like, Borden is filling right now with military vehicles because they intend to impose martial law. That's part of the agenda if you read up any of the ones that I said. So that's what I got to say today. And my 15-year-old self taught me that just because somebody else is insecure and resonates, and Carolyn Mace says we connect through our wounds in a language called woundology, please understand that no longer can we just bitch about what's going on, because that's just how we become the dogs backed into corners. Instead, we must stand and we must say to the man and woman that is imposing and reinforcing and the indoctrination and madness, they must be held personally accountable, as we are all personally accountable for our choices right now, and I hope that you will choose well. So I hope to see you there. Gotta go. Get ready. Have a good one. And please, take a stand. Know what you stand for. And in the end, we can rise together. More to say later. Toodaloo for now.